latest voyage will see us step back on a ship we have not sailed on for 10 years. One of the 4 Cunard sisters. A middle child, sometimes overlooked for the iconic Queen Mary II or the shiny new Queen Anne. But a ship that has its very own magic, its own style.
A ship that over the course of 7 days will take us to some of the most breathtaking places in the Mediterranean. A journey through the south of France, the heart of Tuscany, Balearic Islands, and a city that draws travelers from every corner of the globe. This is the story of our latest adventure.
Wow! They're going crazy!
As we board Queen Victoria for a 7-day voyage through Spain, Italy, and France. An iconic ship. A dream itinerary. Our story begins in the heart of Catalonia and a place we used to call home, Barcelona.
Barcelona, a city that will mean many different things to different people. For some, the home of the legendary football club and Lionel Messi. For others, a cool global city with the Instagram beach and countless bars and restaurants. For certain people, this is the city of Gaudi. For us, it's all three, but also has a fourth reason to mean something. This is the city where 20 years ago we met. It was a different Barcelona then. It felt more raw, less touristy, more creative, and for a moment, the coolest city in the world.
Lee and I studied here for 3 years after arriving in 2006. So not only are we reacquainting ourselves with Queen Victoria, we are also doing the same for the city in which we board. We arrived in Barcelona the day prior to our cruise, which meant we had 24 hours to check out the new, the familiar, and a building that had been under construction long before we arrived 20 years ago and will still be under construction long after we leave.
So after dropping our bags at the hotel, we headed out with a hit list that was definitely too ambitious, but one that we were determined to achieve. First up, we walked directly into the busiest part of town. Throwing ourselves in at the deep end felt like the right way to go. It would immediately orientate us after being away so long, and also give us an initial feeling for what Barcelona was like in 2026. Wow, we used to think this place was packed back then. That is nothing compared to now.
The area around La Alhambra and Gothic was intense. We found sanctuary and some space around the cathedral and quieter alleys around the quarter. Flowing through these streets began to feel more familiar, and we even managed to stop by my old apartment for a quick nostalgia hit along the way.
Welcome to my crib! Literally, welcome to my old crib.
The steps were racking up as we made our way through Livorno, but we refueled along the way with pit stops for drinks and ice creams.
We also managed to catch some actual pit stops at the Alpine showroom as we watched Lewis Hamilton win the Grand Prix that was happening just down the road. But our checkered flag was a little while away yet, as we still had to arrive at the next big stop of the day. We kept strolling the neighbourhoods of Barcelona And then our prize began to reveal itself as the towers of Sagrada Família emerged against the beautiful blue sky.
We arrived at an important moment in the history of this monumental project. Just last week, the Pope was here to celebrate the completion of a key part of this church, the Tower of Jesus Christ. Now, the Pope might not have approved of this t-shirt, but he most certainly approved of Sagrada Família itself. Who couldn't?
We are back at Sagrada Família. It has definitely been built while we've been gone. The genius Gaudi. Barcelona is his city. This is his crowning achievement. The Pope was here last week. A special moment for Barcelona, a special moment for Gaudi. One could argue that Sagrada Família is now the most iconic church in the world. But none of this would be possible without the genius of one man, Antoni Gaudi, a man whose fingerprints are all over Barcelona in the most wonderful way possible. An artist who seems to sit outside trends, outside definable artistic styles.
An artist whose work feels almost alien, a kind of cellular biology type art, so different to anyone else that to see his work is a unique experience. And whereas with some artists you need to visit a gallery, queue for hours and be quiet, with Gaudi you simply explore Barcelona. He is everywhere. The Casa Batlló, Casa Mila, Parc Güell, all iconic in their own right, but Sagrada Família, otherworldly.
One of the key hit list items for the day was completed, but our trek up through Barcelona was not yet done. We kept the steps flowing and arrived in the neighbourhood of Gracia. Gracia is a special place for us. This is where our school was located back in 2006, and the hood where we would hang out, try and figure out what we wanted to do in life, and of course, eat and drink. So it was through that lens that we grabbed food at La Gavina and reminisced about the times of more freedom, less money, but the same salami pizzas as today. By this point, the heat, the steps and the time had us defeated. So it was back to the hotel to recharge, ready for the next day and the start of our next adventure around the Mediterranean on Queen Victoria.
The following morning, we awoke to the sounds of people, sirens, mopeds. This is downtown Barcelona after all. You wouldn't expect anything less. So we dragged our weary legs out of bed, zipped those cases back up, and checked out, ready to hit the cruise terminal. But boarding was actually in the afternoon, so this allowed us just enough time to head back to Tourist Central and to the Merca de la Bogueria.
If you know Barcelona, you know this place. The colour of the fruit drinks and stalls as you enter was a camera moment even in 2006, and even more so now 20 years later. But it doesn't make it any less wonderful. We strolled the market and of course grabbed a fresh drink.
I also picked up some saffron for my mom. Then we slowly made our way back to the hotel via Pans to pick up our cases and head to the cruise terminal.
If Barcelona was a blast from the past, Queen Victoria promised to be a beautiful reunion. But either due to sheer information overload in this modern world over the past 10 years, or possessing terrible collective memories, we couldn't remember too much from our last time on board. We have actually sailed on her 3 times, always through the Canary Islands at Christmas time. Since then we have sailed on Cunard numerous times, but usually on Queen Mary too, and then a world voyage on Queen Anne last year. This led us to merging ships, venues, design, itineraries into one giant Cunard block, and specifics on Victoria had become slightly blurry.
So as we made our way on board, we were excited to see what we remembered and what we didn't. And wow, we were shocked. She is absolutely beautiful, like stunningly elegant. How the hell did something so amazing erase itself from our memories? Never again. We recently released a film on this channel comparing Queen Mary II to Queen Anne. We talked about the difference in the grand lobbies. Sorry big sister and youngest child, you can't hold a candle to Victoria's lobby. It's a work of art. As we made our way through the staircase, the venues began to emerge. The chat room, veranda, midship bar, and the library, my word, the library.
After picking up our jars from the floor, we headed to our room to drop bags and grab our room cards. For this voyage we were staying in a balcony room. Now here is where the ship did feel familiar. The room itself was almost identical to Queen Mary II. All the pros and all the cons. But the balcony here was much nicer than the sheltered balcony we had on QM2. Perfect for those summer sunsets. We headed back out into the ship and continued our tour of rediscovery.
We saw the theatre, the Britannia Restaurant, and Lido Buffet. More to come on all three of these spaces. Then we headed outside on deck 3 to the Promenade. On the previous video, we received a comment saying that Queen Victoria might be our perfect ship as it blended some of the things we liked best about Queen Anne and Queen Mary II. If ever there was a good example of this, it's the Promenade deck. Victoria's Promenade has the walking track feel of Queen Anne, but also the moments of sweeping wide, relaxing traditional promenade that is so fantastic on Mary. This promenade has the iconic wooden loungers, uninterrupted views, the benches, the lockers, the feeling of Cunard. Chris, Andrea, and Nick, your comments definitely work for this part of Queen Victoria.
As we made our way up the decks, the blazing Barcelona sun continued to hit us as the captain started our engines. The live band took to the stage at the rear of the ship, and as the planes overhead arrived in Barcelona, just as we did the previous day, our adrenaline started to come down. It was a perfect time for a drink, to sit and slow things down. After the madness of Barcelona, we were now on our way.
Over the coming days, we would experience all ends of the scale versus the intense feeling of Barcelona. Chilled marina vibes, working class Italian ports, legendary party islands, and another Spanish metropolis. As we set off on our voyage, we waved goodbye to our fellow travelers on Explorer, which is a cruise line we definitely want to try one day.
But for now, we sailed out of Barcelona, feeling ready for new adventures and appreciative of the chapters that led to this point. Barcelona and Queen Victoria, thanks for reintroducing yourselves. We missed you.
Our first full day on board was a sea day, as Queen Victoria made her way towards the south of France. We hit the buffet, Lido, for breakfast. Lido is a nice space, easy to navigate, floor-to-ceiling windows, and importantly, good food.
Even though the weather outside demanded we hit the decks, I had something else in mind: the theatre. This morning's lecture was with a Liverpool cult icon, Bruce Grobbelaar.
At 14 years and 10 months, I signed my first professional contract.
Although I knew to take everything here with a giant pinch of salt, I was more than happy to just hear fun, well-told stories from a man who won everything the beautiful game had to offer. Bruce told stories of Bob Paisley, Ian Rush, and his time in the Rhodesian Army, a chapter of history I am fascinated by. And of course, he did the thing.
I could not help but continue to explore Queen Victoria all morning. What an utterly beautiful ship. I've always been fascinated by the Victorian era, not only for its eerie crime cases and uncanny folklore, but also for its design and culture. So, you can imagine my sheer happiness being on board Queen Victoria, a ship deeply inspired by this very period. The detail, the effort that designers went to, the history of the era woven alongside Cunard's own heritage, a thing of beauty. One of the first announcements we heard from the captain was an unusual one.
We did stop the vessel this morning at around 8:30 to enjoy the pleasant conditions that we have. I expect us to remain like this throughout today. We will start moving somewhere between 6 and 7 this evening, here at 7 o'clock this evening, to continue our passage to Valencia.
Now if the captain is going to do that for us, we owe it to him to catch some rays and relax by the pool for a bit. And I did just that.
I visited the Britannia Restaurant for the first time for lunch. I was led to a table right by the window, enjoying my meal with views of the Mediterranean Sea. As I began to sink deeper into the tranquility of the ocean, I started to have that feeling of escaping normal life once again.
That evening would be the first of 2 formal nights during this voyage. The time to spruce up and experience dinner on board Queen Victoria in pure Cunard style. The Britannia Restaurant on Victoria is not to be overlooked in comparison to her siblings. The space is a 2-tier masterpiece.
The staircases are there. The feeling is grand, but slightly more compact than Mary, more traditional than Anne, but wonderful all the same.
The evening was capped off with a visit to the Queen's Room, another space that seems to combine the best of Mary and Anne and give Victoria a superb space of her own. Our first full day on board came to a close, and the verdict was clear. Queen Victoria may be a middle child, but she shouldn't be ignored. She is, in her own right, magnificent.
Our first port of call on this voyage was Toulon, or more accurately, Sanary-sur-Mer. The obvious choice here was to head into Toulon, but we had another idea and were 50-50 on what to do. Nearby was the idyllic, picturesque town of Sanary-sur-Mer. We had seen that this place has a postcard-perfect marina, an abundance of cobbled back streets and alleys that just appealed to our sixth sense more than Toulon. Every Wednesday, Sanary has one of the most beautiful markets in all of France. And yes, today was Wednesday, so the decision was made. Sanary-sur-Mer it is.
So we ordered an Uber and headed in the opposite direction to most of our fellow travellers, who were headed to Toulon via the shuttle boat. This is some of the fun of cruising and travelling this way. In about 8 hours, we will either be fist bumping on a great decision or cursing ourselves for taking a risk and wishing we had boarded that shuttle boat. Like the vast majority, there are no guarantees. You make your decision and you go for it. As we arrived, the market was in full swing, so we headed straight into the middle of the action.
The reviews were right. The market was great. The whole marina area was so pretty, clean, and welcoming. We continued our walk and then stopped for a spot of lunch. There are no shortage of options as restaurants and cafes circled the marina. Our food was excellent, and despite the whole town being busy for market day, the atmosphere still felt relaxed.
After eating, we continued to explore Sanary. Just as the internet promised, this was a beautiful, quiet town of endless narrow streets, cafes, indie stores, and locals enjoying the nice weather just as much as the tourists. The weather during this cruise was predicted to be scorching, and this was the first day of that proving so. 30 degrees, sunshine and walks demanded at least one stop for ice cream, so we obliged.
Before heading back to the ship, we grabbed a few drinks and snacks to take back on board and booked the return Uber. This time our driver asked if we wanted to take a more scenic route back. Of course we said oui monsieur and saw more of the beaches and views that this wonderful part of the French Riviera delivers so effortlessly. Now, 8 hours later, we were happy to say that the 50-50 call we made earlier in the day went our way. Sanary-sur-Mer was the right choice, an idyllic town, a lovely day, and a great start to our journey through the Mediterranean.
During this voyage, we wanted to experience as many dining options as possible on Queen Victoria. So tonight we were keeping the relaxed mood flowing and heading to the pub for fish and chips. The pub on Queen Victoria shares the same name as those on Queen Mary and Queen Anne, the Golden Lion. But this pub is genuinely different to those on her sister ships. Growing up, I would head to the seaside towns of Whitby and Scarborough in the summer holidays. Lots of those traditional seaside pubs would have a specific look and feel to them. The dark woods, the greens and reds, combined with the leather seats. It creates a cosy atmosphere that is hard to convey with mere words. But when in the Golden Lion on Queen Victoria, it feels somehow nostalgic, like a memory recovered from a different time and place. Those leather bay window benches somehow elicit feelings of being a kid and what England used to be like in one of those old school seaside pubs. Maybe it's just me, but it did get me right in the feels for some reason. So we had dinner and watched the ocean flow by as Victoria headed towards our next stop, and already the third country of this week, Italy.
Livorno is a port town in the Tuscany region, And whereas the previous day we avoided the industrial port town in Toulon, today we were going all in on Livorno. On any cruise, you can tailor your experience on land to whatever you love. For some people, it's about hitting as many nice beaches as possible. For others, it's about heading to the best shopping districts. For us, it's always about trying to create different experiences. We don't want 4 beach days or 4 industrial ports in a row.
We want to mix it up and try to feel the local culture, but not avoid the great tourist spots. For us, the best itinerary has a mixture of views, pace and experiences. So with that being said, it was time to head into Livorno and see what she had to offer. First we checked out the town centre and then headed to the Quartier Venezia.
This is the new Venice, Medici family's grand plan of making this the next Venice. Let's keep going and see what it has got. The idea that the Medici family were trying to recreate their own version of Venice is interesting. At certain points in Livorno and the canals, it feels a bit run down and neglected, but parts timeless. It offers a raw, unvarnished charm.
It was also interesting to explore and visit the new fortress, another major landmark in the town. We were really starting to get a feel for this place, but before we headed to the next and probably most famous spot in Livorno, it was time for a sit-down lunch.
It's always reassuring when you head into a restaurant and it's full of locals. We made the right call here. The fresh pasta was delicioso. In a very local place, it seems like it's full of locals having their lunch break, and we're having pasta in Italy, obviously.
What did you order?
I have tagliatelle bolognese, and Lee will be having some gnocchi.
This is a creamy one. I think it was creamy pepper sauce.
Let's see what it tastes like. There's no spoon actually. It's just gonna be this could get messy.
Even though kind of a cliche, we try not to get complacent. Eating fresh pasta in Italy. We are living the dream.
For our next spot of the day, it was time to take a walk along the coast to Terrazza Mascagni. But before we arrived there, we discovered the wonderful retro Bagni di Legno.
This place was an absolute throwback. The striped umbrellas, the creaky water slides, locals topping up their already insane tans as they lay on the concrete by the sea. Amazing. It was almost like we had discovered the Italian version of Scarborough. A place not so much changed since its 1980s heyday and dripping with glorious nostalgia. Passing the Lido and the slides, our prize revealed itself in the form of the Terrazza Mascagni.
The checkered falls stretch as far as the eye can see. Livorno really is a mix of industrial port, ancient town centre, and then scenic coastline. A place that somehow feels familiar yet fresh. On the way back to the ship, we checked out a brand new mall, created in the shell of a former shipbuilding yard. Even the malls here are interesting. Livorno, we didn't know what to expect when we arrived, but you delivered in your own gritty, romantic way. Grazie mille e arrivederci for now.
As we set sail for our next destination, something magical happened. Something you dream of while cruising. As Queen Victoria steamed past what looked like the island from Jurassic Park, we noticed something in the water.
Wow! What an amazing moment. You can't plan for these things. Sometimes you are just in the right place at the right time. It's a timely reminder for a voyage like this. Stare less at your phone and more at the water. Magic is there. Don't miss it. Our second sea day on Queen Victoria was a chance to rest our legs and also experience more of what the ship had to offer. If our first day on board was about exploring the ship and rediscovery, our second day was more about immersing ourselves in life on board.
I started my day by heading to the spa. The spa is much smaller than on other Cunard ships, but with one notable exception. There is of course the thermal pool, steam rooms and a very cool view from the tiled lounges, but hidden away in the changing rooms was a jewel. I mean, this must be one of the best views out of a sauna anywhere in the world. What a vibe. I then headed to the chart room to meet Shanting for a coffee and snack.
The chart room serves light breakfast and lunch. We caught it just at the crossover point, perfectly landing at the end of breakfast and the start of lunch. Pastries and croissants, followed by sandwiches to accompany our coffees and hot chocolate.
I then headed up to the Commodore Club to work for a couple of hours. Once again, Starlink has changed the game for working while cruising, and looking out over the oncoming ocean while catching up on projects is so much more enjoyable than any home office.
I went to the Britannia Restaurant for lunch. The food, the views, the ambience were perfect. Just reading and watching the waves pass by is an underrated part of cruise life. Taking a moment to slow life down and live simply for a day is an escape from such an intense world we live in. I will never get bored of this experience. As the clock struck 3 p.m., it was time for a Cunard tradition, afternoon tea in the Queen's room.
Every Cunard ship seems to feel slightly different for afternoon tea, and Victoria was no different. The dance floor began to fill along with the cups, and a joyous time was had by all. If you are ever on a Cunard cruise, this is something you must try to experience at least once while on board.
Our second day at sea also meant the second of 2 formal nights, so it was time to ditch the shorts and t-shirts and head to the Britannia Restaurant for a glitzy dinner. Just as with afternoon tea, if you are on a Cunard voyage, you must at least once check out the Britannia on a formal night. The atmosphere, the outfits, the dishes, it all just moves to another level on these occasions.
Oh, here it is, the escargot. Our last cruise with Mary to Fjords, this dish wasn't on the menu at all, but here it is, appeared in Victoria, so one of my favorites.
And with that, our day at sea drew to a close. Tomorrow would be something of a strange juxtaposition to this evening. We would exchange sharp suits, glamorous dresses, grand restaurants and ballrooms that transport you back into the 20s or 30s for a newer party. Queen Victoria was headed to Ibiza.
Our arrival into Ibiza was slightly different to what we had come to expect. We were later than usual. We were due to dock at around 11:30 a.m. But this actually provided two massive wins. First of all, we could witness our arrival. Usually when the ship arrives to a new port at 6 a.m., most of us are not awake to see it. Secondly, because of our late arrival, it meant we had a late all-on-board time of 8:30 p.m., which meant we could soak in some of the early evening atmosphere you usually miss with a one-day stop.
When thinking of Ibiza, many of us millennials instantly think of house music, parties, mixtapes from the 90s, iconic clubs and legendary DJs. But today, we would experience a different side to the island, one that suited our more mature, or are we just old now, tastes. We actually docked next to our fellow travellers on the Virgin ship, Valiant Lady.
After a quick lunch on board Victoria, we made our way into the sunshine and towards our first spot of the day, Talamanca Beach. A sweeping cove with shallow, calm water, chilled beachfront bars and restaurants, Talamanca was perfect for our current vibe.
But as much as we were tempted to just put down a towel and not move for 8 hours, we had other plans. So we made our way into the town centre to continue our adventure. We arrived at the grand entrance to the old town, but before entering, we stopped at Poisson Shore for drinks and people watching. In our younger days, we might have been excited by headlines like Best Club in the World or Best Party in Europe. But these days, there is another line that gets us way more psyched. UNESCO World Heritage Site. Is that lame? Probably. But when you see that drawbridge and enter the ancient fortress, it's a different kind of high to the one you would feel at 18 years old in Pasha.
We continue up through the old town, climbing higher and higher with each step. As we neared the summit of Old Town, we had an amazing view of Queen Victoria from the very spot we were admiring during our arrival. Initially, our view was obscured by Valiant Lady, but our Virgin friends made their way out of port and we had a full, uninterrupted view of Victoria sitting in the Ibiza sun.
With this new schedule afforded by our late arrival, it meant we could, in a rare occasion, have dinner on the island rather than on the ship, and we took the opportunity with both hands. So off to the legendary El Zaguán we went.
We're in a place called El Zaguán in Ibiza's old town. I found this place online, and what they do is they do pinchos. So what I understand is like pinchos is like sticks, a bit like yakitori, I guess. So here there's like cold tapas, and you could choose whatever you want in the plate, and in the end they will charge you with how many sticks you eat, and each of them, they just told us, is €3.50.
For hot tapas, as we understand it, you either order from the menu or they bring it around. So the cold tapas is there, that you grab it, the hot tapas you order. I've seen bravas on the menu, so of course we're going to order bravas. So let's see what tapas in Old Town Ibiza is all about. El Zaguán was everything we hoped for, and a perfect day in Ibiza town was complete. We may not have partied until the sun came up, but we explored until the sun went down. Ibiza as a millennial, a different and beautiful adventure.
Our fourth and final stop was another change of pace as we docked in Spain's third largest city, Valencia. Just as with Barcelona, this is a city with so much to offer, spread out over such a large area that just freestyling and taking a stroll would not be a good idea. We had a few things we wanted to check out, but didn't want to make it feel like a stress either. Let's call this organized freestyling.
First up was the beach, which was about 20 minutes walk from the cruise terminal. We strolled along the main road and the marina and noticed empty but striking warehouses lined the street. We speculated about what they used to be, what they could be, and how it was such a shame they were not being used. But we should not have been so hasty, as the next warehouse was alive with the locals dancing, rollerblading, and generally enjoying their Sundays in the warehouses.
Arriving at the beach, the sheer scale of it caught us off guard. This was easily one of the widest expanses of sand we've ever stepped onto. So wide that we couldn't even see the water at first. But as we kept walking, the bars and umbrellas began to multiply and the Mediterranean finally revealed itself. For lunch, we had only one mission: paella.
Valencia is the birthplace of paella, although not as you think you might know it. Contrary to natural intuition, traditional Valencian paella is not actually a seafood dish. Valencia is the place in Spain for rice, the main ingredient of paella. But originally paella was created in the farmlands as more of a modest meal for workers. And rather than seafood and chorizo, the traditional paella recipes would contain very different ingredients. So being here in Valencia meant there was only one thing we were ordering from the menu.
Yes. What's in the Valencian paella?
Valencian paella comes with chicken, rabbit, and artichoke.
Oh, okay, great.
It's really delicious.
Oh.
Now, in a city as big as this, our usual style of walking everywhere was simply impossible. So we grabbed an Uber and headed into the city center. Although a sleepy Sunday, the city center was still lively, and the architecture outstanding. Obviously, one day is not enough to fully get to know a place like this, but for us, it was mission accomplished. We will definitely be back to explore further one day, but for now, it was time to take our leave and once again board Queen Victoria for our return to Barcelona.
This was our final night on board, and we had a special meal booked. We had an appointment at Bamboo, one of the regular specialty dining experience on the older Cunard ships. We have been booking in for this meal for years, all the way back to when it was actually called Lotus, and every time it delivers.
3 courses from across the Far East culinary landscape. A lovely way to end what has been an exceptional lineup of food over our 7 days on board. From the Lido Buffet to Britannia Restaurant and now Bamboo, Queen Victoria brought her A game for this cruise. As the sun set and we looked out once again over calm seas, stunning skylines, and these exquisite decks, the overall feeling was one of relaxation and tranquility, something so hard to find these days.
Before heading back to England, we had time for one more walk through Barcelona. But this time we dodged La Rambla and the packed tourist spots downtown for something else. This trip for us was all about rediscovering Queen Victoria and revisiting a city we used to call home. So we headed back to Gracia for one final stop, our old university.
One of our wonderful former teachers, Gabriella, agreed to meet us and show us around the new campus of our school. When we were here, we studied in a small building, students from across the globe taking their first steps into the real world. Now the school is something else, a modern, professional, serious space.
Barcelona has changed. Our old school has changed. But something on this trip remained the same. Queen Victoria. You may have had some refinements and subtle improvements in the decade since we last boarded, but you remain just as beautiful as all those years ago. From your grandest of grand lobbies to your stunning libraries and dance floors, you are still worthy of the Queen moniker. We have experienced a special week getting to know you once again, and this time we promise to not forget your magic so easily, and also to not leave it as long before embarking on more adventures with you.
We hope you enjoyed this film. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. To follow our journey, visit cruisingwithmillennials.com. We have more features coming up, including our ship guide to Queen Victoria.
You can also check out our recent cruise through the fjords on Queen Mary 2 here, and our 107-night world cruise on Queen Anne here. Until our next episode, farewell for now.